Hello, this is Sweet June 2010 coming back at you. Back to discuss. Just got done working out and back home again. I thought maybe I would do another blog. Today I want to talk about the power of words, the power of the tongue, and how we have to be really careful about what we say to people. You know, the Bible talks about um, how powerful the tongue is, and the Bible. I don't know exactly which scriptures, but the Bible does speak on that, the power of the tongue, and I think this is something issue that I wanted to address because I think it's very important. Uh, I think it's very important because um, words are so powerful. Oh my goodness. Words are so powerful, and we have to be very, very, very careful of what we say because it's life and death in the tongue. We got to be careful how we talking to our mate. We have to be careful about how we talk to our children, our co-workers, and especially our family members. I mean, we have to be really, really careful how we, even strangers in the street, we have to be really careful how we speak to people because words are so powerful. They're very powerful. And you could say something to somebody that could really, really hurt them, and they may never recover from it. Words are just that powerful. They may never get over it. It could hurt that person so bad that they may never get over it. I mean, so words are very, very powerful. Um, I know I try to be, as a Christian and trying to serve God, I try to be really, really careful um, of what I say to people. I try to be very mindful of how I speak to people and what I say. And I know sometimes it's very difficult because you don't know if you're saying something to somebody that is going to hurt their feelings. Because has everybody processes emotions differently, and everybody's emotional makeup is different. And so you really don't know. Whereas, a statement, you might say a statement to one person and it may not bother them, but then you may say that same statement to somebody else and it may really mess them up. So, we just have to be really careful. I know in one of my other blogs I was discussing how when you're a single woman and some of the things that people say to you as a single woman, especially after a certain age and you're still single. Um, I talked briefly on how people say things, and that they're saying things that um, it doesn't necessarily help your situation. It's like they say things like to you that um, you could have definitely done without. So if you're not too happy about, if a single woman is not too happy about her single status and she really desires to be married, and then I know I've had people you know tell me that um, like for example, I've had people say you're better off being single, or um, you know something like that. Or, I mean, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I don't understand how people can say that, you know, because it's, sometimes that's, kind of hurtful to me because I'm like, okay, I've been single all my life and I ain't trying to hear that. I don't want to really spend the rest of my life being single. And you know what? And I think when they say those things, they're basing it on their own experiences. And see, this is the problem that I have with that. They're basing it on their own experiences. They're taking their own experiences, and then they're coming up with a statement about marriage, and I just don't feel like that's right. You know, let me form my own opinion about marriage if and when it happens. You know, and that's just an example. You know, or just for example, I told a lady I was where I on my job I used to have, my old job. I told a lady she was married and she said she desired to have a child. Now this woman was married, and I told her, I said, I said something like, well, you know, you don't need no kids or something like I said something to that effect. And then after I said it, I had to check myself about it. I was like, now June, you had no right to tell that woman that. If she wants kids, then that's perfectly fine. She's married. She should have them if that's what she wants. You have no right to tell her, try to discourage her from desiring to have kids. It's just not right. So I had to check myself about that, because the reason why I said it is because my view of motherhood is very distorted because I've had to raise my children alone for so many years. And so I know I haven't experienced it within the context of a marriage. So, and it's two different experiences. So, I had to check myself and catch myself on that. So then it's the same theory with someone that has been married and maybe they might have had a bad marriage or something like that, or they may be having a bad marriage if they're still married. And then they tell you something like, well, you know, try to say, well, discourage you from wanting to get married because of their experiences. They're basing it on their own experiences, and that's not right. And then they don't realize they could be hurting you by making that statement. And that's the power of words and how powerful words really are. Excuse me. And we have to be really careful of what we say to people. And I know I try to be very careful of what I say to people. I think comments about people's weight to me, are insensitive. Even if a person is really, really heavy, it's still not appropriate to make comments about their weight. If a person is very skinny, still not appropriate to make comments about. Maybe that person doesn't want to be skinny. Some people are naturally skinny. That it's just in their genes. They're naturally skinny, and they're a certain weight. That's the weight they've been all their life. And some people really have a difficult time gaining weight. Some women have a difficult time gaining weight, believe it or not, because that's just their genetic makeup. It's just the way they're built. And for somebody to come up to them and say, well, you're skinny, that could be very hurtful to them. Because maybe they don't want to be skinny. Maybe they want to have a few curves. So, and the same goes with a heavier woman. Everybody that is not built the same. Everybody is not a size 1 or 0 or whatever. Women come in all different sizes. And I know weight is a touchy issue for a lot of women. And so I don't like it when people come to me and say, well, boy, gee, it looks like you picked up a few pounds. Well, I don't like that. I mean, why comment on someone's weight at all? It's very rude. I think it's rude. It's disrespectful. It's mean. It's cruel. It's all that. It's all those things. I have a mirror, and I can look in the mirror and tell. I know when I've gained weight because guess what? I live in my body every single day, and I look in the mirror probably just about every day, and I know, and I'm kind of sensitive about my weight, so I know when I gain a few pounds. I can tell just by looking at myself. I don't even have to get on the scale. I can tell. So, or if my clothes fit a little tighter or whatever, I don't necessarily need you. I don't necessarily need you to tell me that I've picked up weight. I didn't really necessarily need you to tell me that. I already know that. And I just think it's rude. It's very rude. You know, and I just don't think it's appropriate to comment on people's weight. And this is a really big thing, especially for women, because most women are sensitive about their weight, and it's just not appropriate to comment on somebody's weight. And that's one of the things how words can hurt so much. You know, that we have to really be careful and mindful of the things that we're saying to people because we could be hurtful, saying something hurtful to someone and not even know it, and not even realizing that we're being hurtful. And these are the things that we have to be careful of. I was reading an article, and the article said that, you know, this come up to you notice that somebody that's lost a few pounds. They say even if you tell a person, gee, it looks like you've lost a few pounds, that person could be offended by that statement. Oh, so what are you trying to say? I was fat before? So they say the best thing to do is just to say, hey, you look great. Then that person, let them draw to the conclusion, wow, it must have been the few pounds I just lost. I'm going to do a part two to this because I think this is a very important issue. I'm running out of time. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to do a part two. So get back at me. Sweet.